coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
And I wanted it to be, authentic. I wanted people to get to see, I have a goofy, funny side. So I wanted all of that to come across, just thinking that, okay, then people would feel a little closer to feeling like they knew me and that they could trust me.
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on visibility strategies for women entrepreneurs. If you want to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice and business, you're in the right place. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marcia Spurk, and I'm your host, professional singer and visibility strategist. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode.
Professional moms, if you're juggling work, mom guilt, and nightly debates about discipline, meet The Calm and Connected Parent by psychotherapist Todd Sarner. An attachment-first roadmap to unity and calmer homes. Out now. Visit transformativeparenting.com and click New Book at the top for bonuses, details, and updates starting today.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay! I'm excited to learn more about your story. I'm all about the story and how you got to where you are. So why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, I'm Rebecca Blacker. I am a real estate broker in New York City. I run a top producing team. We sell mostly luxury apartments, co-ops, condos. We also sell townhomes. We represent buyers and sellers. And we really love doing it.
Yay! Well, I'm excited to hear the backstory. Like I said, how did you get to doing that and to becoming, to getting in the top? And I know you have some fun, interesting things about the team that you run. We'll get to that. So tell us the backstory. How did this come to be?
Sure. So I actually grew up in the real estate industry. My grandfather started buying multifamily buildings long before I was born. He was actually a Holocaust survivor. So sort of came to America and got some loans from his friends and started to purchase buildings. So, so my father then went into the business, and I really grew up kind of just talking about real estate around the dinner table. My mom ended up working with my dad at some point. So it was just something I heard always. And then when I graduated college, I kind of thought I'd go into finance, but my dad convinced me to join the family business. And my brother was also there at the time. And we, all worked together as a family, and it was really nice. But it was not something that I built myself. And that was something that kind of, I guess, haunted me. It was I learned so much. I mean, I started with just taking tenant phone calls and, putting in work orders and things like that, to then really running the leasing department of our business. So, and that was really the part I loved the most, helping people find their home and get into their home, just the excitement of that. So, when my daughter was born, so she's my second child, I had my son first and then my daughter. So, when she was born, I just had this feeling inside that I wanted to build my own thing. This was my grandfather's and my dad's, and it was such a great jumping off point, but it wasn't mine. And so I basically had that tough conversation with my family, and I said, I'm going to go, I'm going to leave and I'm going to build my own thing. And so it felt like a natural progression to go into being a broker, because I always really liked that aspect of the job. And I had grown up in New York City, so I knew all the buildings really well. And it was just something I always really enjoyed and was into. So I joined a small kind of family-run firm at the time. It kind of felt familiar to me, like 'cause I had just come from that.
Yeah.
And I started really with zero. So what I did was at that time, it was kind of the beginning of people getting very active on social media, or like social media sort of being a platform. And I decided that I was going to go into a studio. I was going to spend some money, go into a studio in Brooklyn and film videos of myself. I didn't really have a great plan, but I didn't have any listings. I didn't have really any content. I would, so I thought, well, I have myself and I'm going to go film some videos, show people who I am, sort of speak on real estate topics, speak on being a mom of two young kids, starting a business. And it's sort of, spiraled from there. I put out those videos. I started to get a lot of people contacting me, just saying, I love these videos. Like, I've learned so much. And you're like, first it sort of just started with like people I knew telling me they loved the videos. And then it's sort of, I started to get people, saying, can you please help me with buying an apartment?
Yeah.
And that's sort of how it started.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm super excited to talk more about the social media aspect, because that is a very modern way of going about things that is, I'm assuming, very different, obviously, from what your grandfather built and what your dad built. So I definitely want to lean on that. But first, I want to say how I resonate with the piece of my family built this, and then you feeling like this is great. And maybe a lot of people would be like, I'm set, just stay here. And then there are those of us, and I resonate with that, where it's like, it's not really mine. I kind of want to branch off and do my own thing, because that's kind of similar to what happened to me. How did your family take it? How was that like? Because for me, it wasn't such smooth sailing, because I actually moved to a different country to start my own thing. So I'm curious, how was that for you?
It didn't go over great at first. When I left, my brother had actually started his own thing, so he had left our family business. And my father had retired, so I was really running the business.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of, I think, a big shock to everybody that, I was gonna leave. And I think my dad felt like it was a mistake and kind of had those feelings at the time. But like, I have to say, now, like, he couldn't be prouder of me, and he's like such a mentor that I call, daily, and he loves to hear like all the ins and outs of the business. And like, he'll say now, like, I'm so proud of you and I'm so glad that you did that. But in the moment, it was definitely hard, because, we had to find basically a company to manage everything I had been managing. And, the trust for all of us was a difficult, piece to get over, because, these are your assets and you want to make sure that, someone's managing them in an honest and good way.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely resonate with that. And being a parent myself now, I can understand my parents' reaction at the time. Like, there's so much that goes into that. And I also resonated with what you said in terms of becoming a mom, especially with your second child, and having those feelings, because
that is a lot of what happened to me. Obviously, I moved before having kids, but a lot of me building the business and things had a lot to do with having kids. And I've spent the last, my kids are going to be 9, or I mean 10, they're 9. I've spent the last 10 years thinking about what was going on in my mind and why having them, created this. So I'd love to ask you if you've been reflecting and what, conclusions have you come to?
It's such a great question, and it's something I also have been thinking about a lot. Because when I think about it, I'm like, I must have been crazy. Like, I had a less than 2-year-old and a newborn, and I just decided, like, I didn't even really take maternity leave. I was just like, hey, I'm gonna just go do this new thing and build this, thing from scratch. And I think, though, what I've come to or, realized about it is that there was an aspect where I want my kids to be really proud of me when they grow up.
Yeah.
And that, like, mommy just doesn't go to a 9 to 5 job. And there's nothing wrong with that. It was just, there was something where I wanted them to be like, my mom is an entrepreneur and started this business and has a team. I don't know, all of it. Just so I think that was really the impetus. I can't say I thought so deeply about it at the time, but now I'm like, wow.
That's what was behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I so resonate with that. And it's interesting because that's some of the things that my kids say, because they don't know how to sometimes describe what I do. As they get older, they get better at it, but they start using words like entrepreneur because they hear me saying it so much. So it's such an interesting thing to be building something while they're growing up. And you're right. And having them see that you work hard and that you're building it. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing the behind the scenes, because it's so interesting to me. Tell me more then about the social media aspect of that, because for many entrepreneurs at this day and age, it's embracing the technology piece and also the lifestyle piece of people are not just buying from a company, they're buying from a human. And that's what makes them want to invest, is because they feel like they know you and they can trust you. So what was behind, you said, I'm going to invest this money, I'm going to go to the studio. Was your motivation connected to that? Like seeing some other people and realizing I'm going to add some humanity here or a personal touch? Like, what were your thoughts then? Tell me more.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of thought about, like, who would I hire? Like, why would I trust somebody to help me buy or sell a home?
Yep.
And I felt like I'd want to, like, it would be someone I'd want to feel like I knew. And someone that was, obviously trustworthy and someone that was knowledgeable and all those things. So I really took these videos. Well, first of all, it was extremely difficult to decide to do that. Like, it's to get behind the camera, when that's not your background and you don't, never done it before, is really tricky. So that's why I went to the studio as opposed to just, like, sat in my home and filmed it. I felt like, okay, if I book it with these guys in Brooklyn, like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna definitely do it. And I wanted it to be, authentic. I wanted people to get to see, like, I have, like, a goofy, funny side. And so I wanted all of that to come across on the camera, not just thinking that, okay, then people would feel a little closer to feeling like they knew me.
Yeah.
And that they could trust me. So, and I think people, I totally agree. It's sort of like, now I like to buy things from sort of individuals I follow on Instagram or and like that I connect with. And so that was sort of, I don't know if again, at the time, I was more like, I just want people to know my personality.
Yeah.
And then, maybe then they'll trust me and realize that like, I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's worked out really well then. Tell us more about the team then, and going from starting this thing, joining a smaller firm and then building the team that you have now.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you like to be my next guest on the Empowered Woman podcast? Do you have a story you'd like to share? Want more visibility for your business on a show ranked in the top 0.5% in the world? Well, then head on over to martasburke.com/podcast guest for more information.
I started, it was a slow start, but by like year 2, things were going really well. And I was just doing it on my own. I was just hustling, trying to meet as many people as I could and, do these social videos and go to a lot of open houses and really understand all the apartments and the buildings and everything. So once I started having, some success on my own, I said, I, I need, I think I was in I think it was 3 or 4, year 4. I had been doing everything. I wouldn't say burned out, but I was running on fumes. And I had my little kids. I would be trying to be present with them, but I was so not present. I was just on work all the time. And, you have to be on call when you're a real estate broker. Your clients, especially in the luxury space, like expect that when they call you, you're going to pick up the phone. When they ask you a question, you're going to respond quickly. And so I was like just on my phone all day, all night. Like it was a lot. And I said to myself, well, I think this is the time when I need some support. And I need, it's also kind of a lonely business when you're out there on your own, That's why I would call my dad all the time to, ask him, but you're on your own. And so kind of building this team was great for a lot of different reasons, because now I have people to bounce things off of. I have their support. So if I can't be showing an apartment, I'm somewhere else, they can be there. I can be more present with my kids. And then I've also really come to love the mentorship of it. I just really, I'm so proud every time they have a win, much more so than when I have one. And I kind of realized that I really love leading people. So that's been sort of a wonderful revelation in it. So now we have 5 members on the team, and we we do a lot of team culture building, whether we're like celebrating a deal that's closed, or we sit down and strategize different marketing initiatives, and it feels very collaborative and great.
That's amazing. And it's an all women's team, right?
An all women's team. Yes.
That is very exciting. Was that part of the plan initially, or how did that come about?
I think it was always part of the plan. Everyone on the team sort of is in a similar boat in terms of have young kids, or mostly have young kids. And so it's sort of a way for us all to understand each other and support each other, not just at work, but outside of work too, right? Like we all understand like your kid is sick, like you can't make it, everyone's sort of in a similar boat. And I think that's really helpful.
That's great. I love that. And I love what you were sharing about the mentorship piece and feeling happy about their wins, and sometimes even more so than your wins. I'd love to hear some stories, because initially I was thinking about asking you to share a story of helping somebody realize their dream, buying that home, the apartment, whatever it may be. But it could be, and it could be both too. I'd love to hear two stories if you have them, of a specific story with a team member, anything that comes to mind, because I feel stories are powerful. So let me know.
Yeah. So with a team member, let's see. I went, I had a team member that started, she was new to the business. And her husband had a friend who, was needing to sell their apartment, and she was like brand new. Like she had come from a totally different industry. She was in television. So she really was green. And she had this opportunity to pitch, a pretty big listing. Yeah. And, so of course I went with her, and, I continue to go with, all the team members when they need me. And we got grilled basically by this client, who it wasn't like, he just was, had a lot of really specific questions. And I think she was like really flustered. And, I think I ended up like, answering a lot of the questions, but really I kept thinking to myself, I don't want her to not seem like she's standing on her own 2 feet. So like I would sort of like lead the answer and then let her like finish the answer. I kept being in my head, like, I don't want him to think that this is for me, because this is for her.
Right.
And anyway, we got out of there. We were both like sweating. And like it was just, nerve-wracking. We weren't prepared for like the grilling of this particular client. So we left, and I think we were just like, I don't know if we got that. We'll see. And then we got a call like probably a few weeks later that and like that she got the listing. I don't even want to say we got, like she got it. And it was, I don't know, this was just something that I think about, is like I couldn't have been more happy for her, right? Like it was a very tough situation. Like, you're not prepared, you're new, you have, and I feel like our job is very much like you kind of get thrown into the deep end, and that's how you learn. I guess every job is like that, but there's very little training for just going in and having a client start drilling you. So, and she was like just so thrilled, and she ended up, we got that listing into contract very quickly. And so everybody was very happy, and it just was a great kind of moment.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, congratulations to her and to you. It's got to feel good to be able to support somebody like that and to cheer them on, right? So I love that. That's a great story. Well, and it leads perfectly into what I like to call my $1 million question, because since this is the Empowered Woman podcast, and you've been talking so much about empowering your team, empowering people, I always like to ask, what is an empowered woman to you then?
An empowered woman is someone who I think is fearless, who sets their mind to a goal and goes after it, and doesn't, is not afraid of what other people are going to say or what other people are going to think. And to just, go, put your fears aside and just go for it. Yeah. And I'm also just very inspired by women that can kind of, be an entrepreneur, build a business, have kids, be a wife, all the things that come with that. Just being able to really do it all is just incredible.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot of what you've been doing too. It's interesting to me because when I ask this question at the end of the interview, people usually describe themselves. So that's pretty cool. I love that. Well, tell us how people can connect with you and obviously follow you on Instagram, what to expect out there with all your amazing content.
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram at Rebecca Blacker. My website is blackerandreed.com. And feel free to DM me, and I would love to hear from everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. So inspiring. Congratulations on all your success and your team's success. Thank you for empowering women and people out there with your work.
Oh, thank you so much. And you too, really. You're an inspiration as well.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.